Hello there, welcome back to our show. Now I'm going to look at the Charles Laughton's only film as director, The Night of the Hunter. This is in 4K from Kino Lorber, and you get a nice disc with it. You get two discs. One's region 1 for the Blu-ray, and you get the multi-region 4K. And you get some extras, but the reason to buy this is for the film itself. It's a gorgeous print, and it's been remastered for 4K. I mean, the actual cover here is not the greatest cover for the film. It doesn't fully give the feeling of the film, but there you go. But this is a masterpiece. This is a full-on masterpiece, which someone had the balls to remake as a TV movie. That's horrific. So, So basically, it was based on a best-selling novel at the time. It just came out, and so Charles Laughton's producer Paul Gregory bought the rights to it before it was published, and he got Charles Laughton involved. They hired James Agee to write the script. He produced something that was massively way too long, so Charles Laughton did the script himself from what was written by James Agee and just cut it down and made it much more cohesive, but refused credit as a writer. So he let Agee have the writing credit. And he basically brought in Stanley Cortez, who had worked with Orson Welles in the past, to be the DP. He had lots of people he trusted to make the film, and then he cast one of the great casting choices of the 20th century. He cast Robert Mitchum as his villain. Now, this is one of those films that it would never be quite as good without Mitchum. Mitchum is just so multi-layered in this film, where he's playing a figure who's scary but also mischievous, repressed, nasty, a bit of a joke at times, but that doesn't take away from how scary he can be other times. He's a character who's a con man, who is a fake preacher, and he thinks he's talking to God, but he's talking to God who, as the way a lot of people talk to God, is if God's their friend and only they can interpret God's will. You know, everyone else's view of God is wrong. So they know all the scriptures, but they'll manipulate it to their own ends. And what this guy really is a serial killer, psychopath who kills widows for the money. He hates women. He really hates women, but he always has to seduce them to get the money. He's just lots and lots of problems, and he's just this malignant figure that floats through the film. Is always on the lookout for money, and he's a hypocrite, and he's a horrible person. And Mitchum understands the character perfectly and doesn't worry about the film or looking foolish at times or looking over the top at times, because he's got the menace to back it up when he needs to be. So he can play the charlatan and be seen as a charlatan, but he knows when time comes, he's going to look scary. But he never ignores the fact that this guy, while scary, is also a bit of a fool and a bit of a peacock as well. And so there's something about him that he's so multi-layered, and Mitchum just gives it full on, because he's working for Laughton, so he's obviously had someone who he respects, so he gives him his all. And obviously that's when you get the best stuff. An actor trusts the director and says, okay, I'll give you the stuff and you can shape it to make it work, not make it look foolish. So Mitchum is just amazing in this film. It's hard to, there's other good performances, but it's hard to take away from Mitchum because he's so good. It's that thing of one of the great performances of the 20th century type of level. It's like, it's something that a lot of actors who are more revered never got near as for how good Mitchum is in this film. The film itself is wonderful. I mean, Laughton puts it from the point of view of the children. So one of his explanations was sometimes the film is more naturalistic, sometimes they're much more expressionistic, and but always in the mind of the children. So if it was a early scene where there was underlying menace but it wasn't overt, it would still feel kind of naturalistic, but there would be a sense of tension in it. The more Mitchum started to impose himself in the film, and be threatening, that's when the visuals become more overt and expressionistic. So the visuals were almost affected by how Mitchum was affecting the children who he's chasing throughout the film. So that really helped the film in a sense of, even though it's not explaining why it changes the way it does, you can feel it just by the way Laughton directs it. As like, this is an expression of the children's point of view. So the plot basically is, a guy robs a store and kills someone. He knows he's going to get executed, so he hides the money and tells his children where it is. He hides the money in a doll with his daughter before they take him away. So it turns out Mitchum was a cellmate during this time, and Mitchum can't get me telling where the money is. So when Mitchum's let out of jail, because he's only in a short-term stay, he decides he would go and visit the family and portray himself as a good man of God. Which he does. He seduces the widow, pretty much Shelley Winters, and ends up getting to marry him. And that's the kind of point where he's now figures he's plenty of time to find out where the money is and get the money, then kill the widow and kill the children and disappear. Unfortunately, the son is wise to him straight away. The son realises what he's up to, what he is, basically. Doesn't know exactly everything, but he knows what he is. And the film is wonderful, so it shows the social pressure on Shelley Winters' character to marry him. The fact is, you can't be a woman in the South and be a single mother. You need a husband to provide for the children. And Mitchum seems like the perfect candidate. He's a preacher, he's a man of God. He seems a perfect candidate. And when Winters finds out that because he's a man of God, it means no sex life, which disappoints her. So she puts a passion into redeeming herself in the eyes of God. But no matter what she does, it's never good enough for Mitchum, because Mitchum is a psycho. And Mitchum kills her in a brutal scene that's very expressionistic. He doesn't... It's more about what Laughton's really good at, because he's an actor himself. It's what the actors to create the tone by the staging and by the visuals to suggest a tone of menace rather than how to throw blood at the screen or something. No, he just suggests like bad behaviour and suggests threat, and you can figure the rest out yourself. And of course, the Devil Winters leads this amazing visual, which is part of my thumbnail, where she's underwater and there's floating reeds beside her. And that's what the film does great. It suggests things through beautiful images of something much worse and much more brutal. And some of Mitchum's dialogue is very flowery, but Mitchum plays with the exact precise menace, and he also knows how to talk to other people, so they never get the idea of what he really is. All the adults are fooled by him until the end, really. The adults never look in to see, maybe he's a bit too good, maybe there's something there that we should look into. They always just accept it and are fooled and then get angry because they're fooled. But the little boy's not fooled, he has to protect his little sister. And after a terrific sequence where, after the mother's dead, they're stuck in the house with this psycho who wants the money, and he's going to do what he can do to get the money. They manage to escape through a great hunt sequence and a boating down the river, and this beautiful... They shoot this in a backlot to make it... so they can make it very expressionistic, to create a sense of the idea of what the children see, and the idea that this is basically... they're in purgatory, they don't really know, there's no escape, there's no way around, there's no way to get away. And this is a time that's set during the Great Depression, where there's lots of children on the road who are parentless. So you get a sense of some people are still well off and still surviving, but there's lots of people who are struggling, and the father actually robs the stuff in the first place because he's about to go broke. You know, it's desperation move, not he's a criminal. And there's a sense throughout the film of desperation from all these characters. Everything is desperate in this world. And Mitchum preys on this all the time and fools people, and he becomes this malign figure throughout. So eventually they appear to Lillian Gish. The boat stops and they're found in the river by these young women and girls who are maintained by Lillian Gish's character, and she's looking after them. These are kids whose parents can't look after them, so she's created a little orphanage for these children who need help. So she's like the pure selfless figure against Mitchum's selfish figure. So she takes the children in and protects them when Mitchum shows up. And just by her simple decency against Mitchum's, craftiness and nastiness. And the fact is, she still has a shotgun, so she will shoot him. but it never comes to brutal violence. It comes to a sense of threat of something worse, but never quite showing it. Is what really makes the film work. There's a sense of there's a malign evil in Mitchum's character. You don't need to throw tons of blood at the screen to see. It's just the way he acts, the way he interacts in conversations, the way he talks to the children, the way he looks at people is much more malign than anything he can ever really do. It's just a sense of there's some people that's in the world, and we all know that from life. Is there's some people who are just malignant and horrible in life, and Mitchum's character is one of them, and he's just horrific in the film in ways that the film won't actually show. It just suggests there's something just off with this guy, something creepy with this guy. And that's what Mitchum was great at. Is like, I give him a villain or a ambiguous character, and he could really go to town on it. But he could also play authority figures when need be. But it was at his best when he got to play someone who had a bit of the devil in him. And this guy's got a lot of the devil in him. And this is like one of those films that just works. Everything just works. The visuals work. The child performances are amazingly good. Like, Laughton worked hard with the children and kept it simple with them, so that the lead character, the boy, everything he does makes sense on a level of a child would understand, so that the actor doesn't have to act things beyond his years. It's just common sense stuff that makes sense. Same with the little girl. So the adults get to do the acting and the children behave like children. And are just simple in their way of doing things. Not simplistic, just direct, and they understand the situation they're in and they get through the situation and they go to the next situation, go through the next situation. It doesn't complicate it with things. It just lets the script be realistic for them, and everyone else does the flourishes. So they have simple lines to do, and Mitchum and the grown-up actors have the more complicated dialogue. But everything really works. Everything really delivers in this film. It's one of those hard films to talk about because it's a perfect film. Everything works. And it accumulates slowly throughout. So it starts really strong, and then it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It just keeps on going. So by the end, it's just like, you're thinking, this is a full-on masterpiece. That's just, no one makes films like this. And it's Laughton's only film. It was hated by the critics. It showed you how smart they were. And then, of course, it became one of the greatest films ever made. And critics' review polls later. But it bombed. It probably never had a chance after critics tore it apart. They were just after Laughton, I suppose. It was called Too Arty, but it's not really not. It's arty for a reason. But all the kind of compositions that are not naturalistic are there for a reason, and they're not overdone, and they don't outstay their welcome. But it was too much for the very conservative 1950s critics, so it didn't do very well with them. So they were pretty nasty to it, and they were nasty to Peeping Tom a few years later. So critics, what can you do? So the film got a life of its own later. And it was very later. But I don't think Laughton really lived to see the turnaround for this film. But Mitchum and other actors did. I mean, this was one of Shelley Winter's two big roles were playing the widows who are killed earlier in the film for great films by geniuses. But she did this, and she did Lolita with Stanley Kubrick not long after. And it's like, well, that's two parts. You don't need to do anything else after that, really. So these films just this film just works. It's just a beautiful film. I'm not sure what else to say about it beyond it's just beautiful. The acting's terrific. The composition's terrific. The simplicity of the film when it needs to be simple, but without it being simplistic. It's never simplistic about human evil and human good. It's simple in certain scenes to show you the decency of some people and the horror of other people, but it's never simplistic. It never suggests that the good people are perfect. It just suggests they're trying. It suggests the evil ones are those who are not trying really to be decent. They're the ones who just are selfish and malignant, really. But it's never simplistic about anybody's motivations. But it keeps a view that is attached to the point of view of a child who's probably figuring out the world slowly but surely. So it's a perfect film. It is beautiful. So you have to go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful film. So I hope you enjoyed this video. That's me for now. I'll be back soon with another one. Right, bye.